Hey Algebra, today we're going to do a review of solving for a variable. Last year we did one step and two step. I just kind of want to go back over that just to make sure that if there's any misconceptions that we get those cleared up. So the first one, and yes, please get in the habit of showing your work. A lot of these simple ones, you just do it in your head, but when you get into higher mathematics, you're going to struggle when you start to do too much in your head, okay? So when you're doing an equation, you always have a left side and a right side, okay? Basically, when you are solving for you're undoing the operation, so it's going to be the opposite of PEMDAS. These are only one step, so what is the opposite? My goal is to isolate my variable. How do I undo the addition of 12? I subtract 12. But whenever you do it on one side, you must do it on the other. And so the purpose of when your addition and subtraction is to make it equal 0, because then I can isolate the variable on one side. And what is 10 minus 12? Negative 2. Okay? And as always, box your answers. I really don't want to go too much into this, but if you notice here, that's right. You would start this off by adding 9. Okay? And so forth, and so forth. The tricky one, addition and subtraction. Here you have multiplication. It looks like subtraction, but this negative 7 is actually multiplying. It's the coefficient, and it's multiplying the variable. So how do I undo multiplication? Division. And so never get confused with that. So you say you have a negative 7 divided by negative 7 is going to equal 1. I'm just going to put that slash to kind of represent that equals 1. And so I've isolated the variable. Y is by itself, and you can do the math. It is late, and I am struggling with my mind right now. All right, so here you have division. And when you're thinking about this, a over 9 is the same thing as 1/9 times a, yes? So how do I remove that fraction? If I multiply it times a 9, 9 times 1 is 9. It'd be 9 over 9, wouldn't it? So it equals 1. So whenever you have a variable that is a numerator with a number on the denominator, you multiply it times the denominator. Okay? It equals 1, and a is isolated, and negative 4 times 9, negative 36. And no, Adrian and Julio, you can't just say, okay, what number divided by 9? I know that's what you're thinking. Do the math, okay? All right, so moving right along. A lot of you are looking at, oh no, fractions. Basically, when you are down to one step and you have multiplication with the coefficient and the variable, the fraction, you just want it to equal 1, right? Because you're multiplying here. Now, I can show you that when you divide, I can do the long step around. You divide it by 2/3. What do? You keep, you change it, and you flip it. So if I multiply it times the reciprocal, it'd be 6 divided by 6 is 1. But if I do it to one side, I must do it to the other. Okay? So you've isolated the variable, x. And 10 times 3 is 30 divided by 2. Remember, there's a 1 under there, okay? And that equals 15. Okay? The rest is self-explanatory. It is the reciprocal. Okay? All right, and as I said, this should be a review for everybody, okay? The next one, in order of operations that we did on Friday, remember that we always do multiplication and division before we do addition and subtraction. Well, when we're isolating the variable, it's actually the opposite. We do the addition and subtraction first, and then we do the multiplication and division. So if you notice, I need to undo this. I need to remove the 8 because I want to combine like terms. These are my constants, and this is my coefficient with the variable. So I need to subtract 8. And if I subtract 8 there, I do it over here. Go ahead and do your line. And it adds up to 0, because my goal is to get x all by itself, so I want to get rid of that anything else that's on the left side. equals 42. That's right, I'm down to multiplication. I look at my variable and I divide by 6. X equals 7. Okay? Now I would like to, let's do this one. So we are going to undo the 9. If I do it to one side, I must do it to the other. Adds up to 0. And you're left with negative 4k. And 13 minus 9 is 4. That's right, I'm going to divide by 4 or negative 4. It's always the coefficient that is in front of the variable. And you're going to keep that negative with it. Okay? And you're left with k is equal to negative 1. Always box your answers. Okay? Awesome. I'm going to let you can go back in and do the others that we did not do for practice. And yes, yours is probably in color. Whoops, I just showed the answers, didn't I? Actually, mine is front and back. Yours is going to be 2 separate sheets because I'm going to show you how to put it in your interactive notebook. All right. Here on the back, it's basically like the front. You need to undo your addition and subtraction. Okay. Nothing is different except for, and 9 plus 7 is 16. And did we see this before? Absolutely. You had a variable for the numerator and then a number for the denominator. That's right, you're going to multiply it times 2. So x is equal to 32. Okay? Self-explanatory. Everything here is practice, especially with the fractions and the two-step. Look at the bottom. Now this one's a little bit different. You always have to do, when you have an expression as a numerator and you have a denominator of 8, well, you need to remove, because remember that 11 is over 8 and the x is over 8. Okay? So let's get rid of the 8. As if, let's pretend that this is just a variable by itself. Okay? To get rid of the 8, how do we remove that? That's right. You're going to multiply it times 8. Because what happens? 8 divided by 8 is 1. But if I multiply times 8 on one side, I must do it to the other. And so I'm left with x plus 11 is equal to negative 24. And you have seen this before. So whenever you have a denominator with an expression on the top, to undo that, you just multiply it times the denominator. So here, times 9 and times 9. Okay? Like I said, this is a total review for you. We did these last year. The only difference is we did not do a lot of fractions, nor did we do expressions within the numerator. Okay? So you will be ready tomorrow because we're going to go straight into using the distributive property and looking at problems that have variables on both sides. And really then from there, we're just going to have 2 days of practice doing some scavenger hunts and a couple different puzzles. So your work today is 1, to finish this, and then to do a maze. Just work with somebody else. You know, just maybe you do one, they do one, just kind of a fun way to end the activity. And then we will have a lesson on Tuesday. Oh, I apologize. I meant to tell you. Okay, so open it up, your journal, and your table of contents today. And I forgot to go, I'm going to put one in here for the basic review that we did on Friday. Okay? And we'll update it when you guys come tomorrow. So here we had our notes from Friday. And what I would like you to do is on the next page, I want you to go ahead and trim. You can actually trim this off, it's fine. Trim it right here, all the way around. And I want you to put the 1 step on the left side. Okay, and I apologize because mine's front and back. And then you will have it on separate sheets, and you're going to put the other side on the right after you trim it. And just a little bit of glue goes a long way. And then you're going to turn into me the activity right here. Okay? All right, we will see you tomorrow.